Hello everyone, welcome back. This week I wanted to discuss with you a focus on some of the deal documents. So if you're getting ready to sell your business, here are some of the documents that will be involved throughout that process. So on the front end, first and foremost, we talked about the Confidential Information Memorandum. This, for lack of better words, is an advertisement or a flyer that you would send to prospective buyers that gives them high-level information about your company, whether that be an org chart, whether that be some of your financials numbers, your industry, your competitors. That would be the first thing on the front end that would go out. Next would be an indication of interest. So an indication of interest is simply a ballpark range for a purchase price for your company. So indication of interest would be submitted. From there, you would review those indications of interest. If you're too far apart on any certain number, you would simply cast those aside or maybe go back to them for a higher offer. But this is where you would start to narrow it down and see which one of these companies you could potentially get a letter of intent from. So a letter of intent is a very big step in the process when you're looking to sell your business. The letter of intent would outline a lot of the terms of the deal. It'll outline things such as the purchase price, the type of sale, whether it include an earnout or any type of seller's note. It also may outline if you will have a non-compete agreement within there. And then once this letter of intent is signed, it would grant the buyer exclusivity for a certain number of days. So if you're a business owner, you can elect maybe it's 30, 45, 60 days of an exclusivity period where you will not be reviewing any other documents or any other potential offers that you would be fielding from potential buyers. So the letter of intent is a very significant document in this process. Most of the time, if you are on the buying end, your attorney will want to draft the letter of intent for you so they can get out in front of it and see what some of the deal terms will be. And then, like we mentioned, if you are on the selling end, make sure that you have your ducks in a row, that there's definitely a proof of financing, because once you go under LOI with a certain buyer, you will be granting them exclusivity and have to turn some of those other offers away. After the period of where the letter of intent is signed, that's when you'll get into some of the due diligence documents. So things like contracts, financial statements, tax returns. We'll do a deeper dive next week on the due diligence process. But after an LOI is signed, it's typically when you'll get into the due diligence process. And then one of the things that we also mentioned, non-compete agreements. So key members of your company. Also, if you're the owner, the buyers will want you to sign a non-compete agreement so that you cannot go and start a very similar business and then start to compete with them. And then lastly, what you will have is the purchase agreement. So the purchase agreement this will be the largest of the deal documents. This might range anywhere from 45 to as high as 85 pages long. And this will spell out every single detail that is involved in the selling process of your business. So not only will it have the deal terms, the purchase price, the non-compete agreements will be in that document as well. You'll look at certain things within the deals, such as reps and warranties, who would be responsible for certain things. There might be some money held back in escrow for any type of lawsuit that could potentially pop up. Also, networking capital. What happens to some of the accounts receivable? What happens to the cash? What happens to the debt in the business? So this is a very extensive document. This is something that can take weeks and weeks, maybe even months and months to be reviewed and finalized between the two parties. So a lot of times, different lawyers or legal representation will be the ones that will be going through with a fine-tooth comb the details of the purchase agreement to see if they will be ready to sell. And then lastly, you would get any type of closing documents. You would have obviously a letter from the bank that will be providing the finances, the wire amounts, the money to get transferred over. But from a high level, those are the main documents you'd be looking at. So you'd be starting with a SIM, indications of interest, the letter of intent. You'd have potential non-compete agreements outlined and your purchase agreement. So those are from a high level, like I mentioned, the documents that would be involved if you are starting to begin the process of selling your business.